Good evening, I'm Redzuan Michael and you're watching Kini News, the show that brings you today's biggest stories. They made fun of it when Harapan proposed it, but now the idea is back because the Perikatan Nasional government sees potential in it. When the flying car idea was first announced when Pakatan Harapan was in power, many who were in the opposition at the time ridiculed the idea. Now several of those critics are in the Perikatan Nasional government, but the idea lives on. Entrepreneur Development Minister Wan Junaidi Tuanku Jaafar told Dewan Rakyat today that the flying cars, superdrones or air mobility vehicles have great future potential.
Sebenarnya ya Muhammad, kita banyak yang mencemuh ataupun mencaci apabila kita katakan kereta terbang dahulu ya oleh menteri yang dahulu, tetapi sebenarnya istilah kereta terbang itu diguna pakai sebagai generic name untuk urban mobility, khususnya di Amerika. Contohnya di masa sekarang di New Hampshire telah menubuhkan undang-undang untuk mengadakan air taxi berlandaskan eVTOL ataupun vertical landing and vertical take-off and landing vehicle. Jadi dalam keadaan demikian, istilah yang diguna juga adalah kereta terbang. Tetapi kereta terbang bermakna drone dan super drone yang boleh diguna pakai menjadi kereta di urban centers mengatasi masalah trafik.
The flying car was a pet project of Junaidi's predecessor, Redzuan Yusoff, who is now a colleague in the PN cabinet. However, despite his enthusiasm for superdrones, he said at the moment the project in Malaysia was fully backed by the private sector, with the government focusing on helping entrepreneurs recover economically from the COVID-19 pandemic.
Bapak Menteri, saya merujuk kepada kenyataan yang dikeluarkan oleh Ahli Parlimen Parik Sulong pada masa itu pengurusi PAC 28 November 2019. Jika saya dapat bacakan kenyataannya, PAC Parlimen mendapati Malaysia Industry Government of High Technology (MIGT) pada masa itu sebuah syarikat di bawah JPM telah meluluskan pelaburan kepada projek ini sebanyak 20 juta. Bapak Menteri sebut tadi bahawa projek ini dibiayai sepenuhnya oleh sektor swasta dan ini telah pun disahkan. Dana ini disalurkan oleh VTSB kepada AVSB pada 1 November 2019. Kalau ia ditanggung oleh swasta, maka apa jadi pada dana 20 juta ini?
Ya Muhammad, terima kasih Ya Muhammad bagi tahu saya ni. Sebab di parlimen ni Ya Muhammad, kalau saya berbohong, saya boleh dikata mengelirukan Dewan. Saya hanya jelas apa yang saya tahu. Jadi kalau yang Muhammad ada tahu tu, terima kasihlah. Dan saya galakkan banyak lagi duit-duit kerjaan untuk memberi untuk pembangunan industri ini. Kerana industri ini pada masa sekarang pun sudah mencapai tahap 15 bilion di seluruh dunia. Ya.
For the record, MIGT had previously explained that the 20 million ringgit was not for the flying car project, but for a separate project to develop the third national car. The UMNO president and DAP's RSN Rayer both agreed on something today. Why suspects in firefighter Muhammad Adib's death weren't being charged with murder. UMNO President Ahmad Zaid Hamidi and DAP lawmaker RSN Rayer have questioned the Home Ministry for only proposing illegal gathering charges over the death of firefighter Muhammad Adib Muhammad Qasim. In a Facebook post today, Zaid also questioned the proposal to hold a second inquest into the death, which was the only casualty from rioting outside the Sifil Temple in Subang Jaya in November 2018. Yesterday, Home Minister Hamzah Zainuddin told the Dewan Rakyat that police recommended that the 12 suspects in the case be charged under Section 143 of the Penal Code, which covers unlawful assembly, and punishable with an imprisonment of a term which may not extend to 6 months, or with fine or both. Hamzah also said the police have submitted a recommendation to the Attorney General's chambers for a fresh inquest to be held. Meanwhile, Jelutong MP Rayer separately questioned the Dewan Rakyat on why there were no murder charges.
Beliau telah memberi jawapan bahawa kes itu akan disiasat semula dan suspek-suspek akan dituduh untuk kesalahan 143 di bawah kanun keseksaan. Now, Tuan Speaker sebagai seorang pengamal undang-undang sedia maklum bahawa kesalahan membunuh adalah kesalahan di bawah Seksyen 302 kanun keseksaan. Kesalahan 143 adalah kesalahan merusuh. So, ia tidak menjawab soalan saya.
Rayer said the media reported that 12 suspects will be charged, but it would not be under Section 302 for murder. He said because of this, the statement made by Hamzah was not accurate. However, Speaker Azhar Harun did not find Hamza's remarks misleading based on what he remembered about the exchange, but said Rear had a right to file a motion referring the minister to the Rights and Privileges Committee.
Kita telah diminta oleh orang ramai. Dan Yang Berhormat Jelutong pun bercakap di dalam perbahasan apa status kedudukan kes Adib.
Ya, betul.
Dan Yang Berhormat Menteri melalui KDN telah jelas menyatakan dua perkara besar yang kita rujuk pada Jabatan Peguam Negara. Sabarlah Yang Berhormat, selaku peguam yang berpengalaman, Yang Berhormat memang tahu proses bagaimana untuk kita lakukan perkara ini. Terima kasih. Cukuplah Yang Berhormat. Cukuplah Yang Berhormat.
Saya, Speaker. Ya tak.
Okey. Kita ada banyak nak dibahaskan. Saya ambil perhatian apa yang dibangkitkan oleh Jelutong. Memang benarlah kalau ditanya soalan seboleh-bolehnya dijawab dengan tepat, ya.
In delivering her judgment last year, Coroner Rofia Muhammad concluded that blunt chest trauma sustained by Adib during the incident was not self-inflicted or an accident, but was caused by 2 or 3 unidentified persons who pulled the victim out of the emergency services van he was in, hitting him and dragging him. She also found the police at fault for their inaction during the riot, saying if the action had been taken, the mob would not have torched the vehicles and the Fire and Rescue Department would not have been involved. Zahid said the proposal for a fresh inquest appeared to be denying the coroner's findings and is a waste of time and postponing justice for Adib and his family. 90 ringgit a day for each undocumented migrant is a lot of money, and it's money the government wishes it didn't have to spend. This is why it has come up with a solution. The Malaysian government spends up to 90 ringgit a day for each undocumented migrant housed at immigration detention depots, according to Deputy Home Minister Ismail Muhammad Syed. Ismail said the cost is just too high. This is why the government is looking at ways to repatriate all undocumented migrants.
Kalau kita tengok 3 tahun berturut-turut, 2017, 2018, 2019, kita tangkap itu panjangnya 50,000 setiap tahun. Dan oleh kerana COVID pada tahun 2020 ini kadar tangkapan kita kurang, iaitu 18,092. Dan sebab itulah kita sentiasa berbincang menerusi Jabatan Imigresen Malaysia bahawa kita nak supaya parti ini yang ada di depoh-depoh ini kita hantar pulang kepada negara asal. Dan alhamdulillah kita telah mendapat kerjasama daripada negara asal sejumlah 20,297 orang telah kita hantar pulang.
Ismail added that when undocumented migrants are detained, negotiations will be held with the country of origin as soon as possible to speed up the repatriation process, to ultimately reduce the country's financial burden. After reporting just 1 new case yesterday, Malaysia is back to double digits. Malaysia recorded 21 new COVID-19 cases as of noon today, a bulk of which were imported cases. According to the Health Ministry, from the 15 imported cases, 12 were Malaysians who recently returned from Yemen. From the 6 locally transmitted cases, 3 were linked to the Sibah Ganga cluster in Kedah, which started after the owner of a Nasi Kandar restaurant in Napo in Jitra violated a home quarantine order. The ministry had so far screened a total of 1,647 individuals linked to this cluster. From that number, a total of 24 had tested positive, 754 negative, while 869 others were still awaiting their results. Meanwhile, 18 people were discharged after recovering from COVID-19, and no new fatalities linked to the virus were reported today. Coming up next, we sat down with Wan Ahmad Faisal on why many Bersatu members chose Muhyiddin instead of Dr. Mahathir. Why did Bersatu members choose President Muhyiddin Yassin instead of Dr. Mahathir Mohamad? Deputy Minister Wan Ahmad Faisal shared with us why he chose Muhyiddin.
Dr. Sri Anwar Ibrahim, he is undoubtedly is one of the best statesmen we ever produced, and he has proven himself as a leader who has perseverance and also in creativity and also vision. But running up to our time there in Pakatan Harapan, you can see that the internal tension between Dr. Sri Anwar and Dr. Sri Azmin has made Pakatan Harapan to become unsustainable at all. internal political bickerings, and also I don't see Datuk Seri Anwar himself, but more on of his supporters who pressured Tun Mahathir to really relinquish the post and make way for Datuk Seri Anwar. I think that has become a pain throughout the Pakatan Harapan time, and hence the coalition could not sustain under that kind of controversies.
Why did you choose to go with Tan Sri Muhyiddin instead of Tun Mahathir?
Yeah. First and foremost, I would like to make it very clear and firm that there's a false dilemma viewed by outsiders on how Bersatu members view Tun Mahathir and Tan Sri Muhyiddin Yassin. We, despite our differences with Tun Mahathir, we always honour him as our statesman and founder of the party. Nonetheless, we follow the direction of the party as how it was decided in the High Council meeting on why we decided to leave Pakatan Harapan. And we have seen for the past 22 months, we all know that Tun Mahathir would never allow Anwar to become Prime Minister. That is given among all ordinary members of Bersatu. So when things happen, it happened so fast within that week. I was basically caught off guard as well. And after I listened to Tan Sri Muhyiddin's explanation on why he opted to leave Pakatan Harapan and also and suddenly became Prime Minister, I felt that it was a satisfactory answers given by him, and hence that I think the best way to move forward as a party is to stick with Tan Sri Muhyiddin Yassin. So basically we are bound by the party's direction rather than individual affection. Definitely the word betrayal is popular nowadays to describe all those who are with Tan Sri Muhyiddin and Azmin Ali, for example. I think this is incorrect. I think what we are doing is basically towing the party's line. I am a party member first. Yes, I worked under Syed Saddiq before, and I really respect him as my former boss and also my best friend. But when it comes to political party, when it comes to direction of the party, the constitution and the institution of the party comes first, above all other personalities, including Tun Mahathir. So in that respect, what Tan Sri Muhyiddin has done is basically correct, along the lines of party constitution and also the decision made in the High Council meeting.
Scores have been killed and thousands have been left injured in Beirut, and rescue efforts are still ongoing. A powerful blast in port warehouses near central Beirut, storing highly explosive material, killed 78 people, injured nearly 4,000, and sent seismic shockwaves that shattered windows, smashed masonry, and shook the ground across the Lebanese capital. Officials said they expected the death toll to rise further after Tuesday's blast as emergency workers dug through the rubble to rescue people and remove the dead. It was the most powerful explosion in years in Beirut, which is already reeling from an economic crisis and a surge in coronavirus infections. President Michel Aoun said 2,750 tons of ammonium nitrate used in fertilizers and bombs had been stored for 6 years at the port without safety measures and said it was unacceptable. He called for an emergency cabinet meeting on Wednesday and said a 2-week state of emergency should be declared. Some residents thought an earthquake had struck. Dazed and weeping and injured people walked through the streets searching for relatives. Others sought their missing loved ones in the overflowing hospitals. One medic said 200 to 300 people had been admitted to a single emergency department. And that is all from me today. For more stories, you can go to KiniTV.com. You can also follow us on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube and Facebook for the latest news updates. I'll be back with more tomorrow, same time, same place. I'm Redzuan Michael. Thank you for watching.